to order. And with that, we'll read off the public involvement announcement. Welcome to AMAT's Community Advisory Committee meeting. Public comments are welcome and encouraged, with 3 minutes given to each speaker. After the committee discusses each item, members of the public will be invited to comment. Housekeeping item. For virtual attendees, please keep your camera off until speaking. For those attended by phone, please press *6 or to unmute yourself. So I guess I should be taking the cue and shut my camera off for you guys. And with that, we'll move to approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
This is SJ. I move to approve.
Chuck Holman, second.
Any objections to approving or any comments, questions about our agenda? Hearing none. Any objections to approving the agenda? Hearing no objections, the agenda is approved. We need to approve minutes 7:24 and 10:28. Can I get a motion to approve both sets of minutes?
Move to approve, Chuck Holman.
Thank you, Chuck. Can I get a second?
Sure, this is SJ. I'll give it a second.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Now we're in discussion. Are there any corrections or issues anyone saw with the minutes? Are there any objections to approving the 7:24 and 10:28 minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We'll move to 5A, amendment to the 2050 Transportation Plan, MTP, Metropolitan Transportation Plan.
And Matt, did we take a roll call?
Oh, you're right. I totally skipped right over that.
I just remembered because we had one more member pop in,
Yep.
so maybe we can circle back to that.
Love it. Okay. With that, we'll start from the top. District 2, Matt Crookshank is present. SJ, District 1, downtown.
Yep, I'm present.
Perfect. Allie Hartman, District 3.
Here.
Thank you, Allie. Diana Evans, District 4.
Here.
Thank you. Dave Weber, District 5.
Here.
Good to go. Nancy Pease, District 6.
Here.
Thank you, Nancy. Kathleen McArdle, Chamber of Commerce. Anchorage Chamber of Commerce. Oh, no Kathleen. Chuck Homan, Chugiak Eagle River Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Here.
Bob French, Federation Community Councils.
Here.
Thank you. Jeff Ron, Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you, Jeff. And John Scooter.
Present.
Hey, John, correct me. I need a reminder. How do you say your last name?
Scudder.
Thank you. We're going to move back to 5A, actionable items, amendment to the 2050 Transportation Plan. Christine?
Yeah, we have staff member Rhiannon Brown to the MTP now. This is just before you. We always bring the MTP and tip items, new ones and amendments for you as a committee to look at. If you have comments, that's great. We want to hear them. You don't have to have comments. We did not receive any comments prior to the meeting for you to approve or not approve, but I'll turn it over to Rhiannon to give you a quick briefing of what is in the amendment, and then if anybody has any comments, we can discuss them.
Thank you, Christine. Hi, Rhiannon Brown, Senior Planner with AMATS. We do have amendment number 2 for the 2050 MTP before you now, and actually is up for public hearing tonight at the Assembly. So within this amendment, there are 3 items. The first item is an update to the description for the project that is the TIP NHS 1 O'Malley Road to Diamond Boulevard. In the October 2025 meeting, the policy committee took action and updated that project description within the TIP. So now it does need to be updated in the MTP as well to match. So that is the first item. The second item, the next two items are both new projects. These are both being sought after by these come to us from the municipality. They are seeking grants. They are seeking the US DOT Build America Bureau's Rural and Tribal Assistant Pilot Program grants for two safety access road projects. The first one is Atelier, and this is from Atelier Drive to Clutina Drive. And the second is Potter Valley Life Safety Access Road, and this is from Romania Drive to Potter Valley. They are the municipality is in the process of applying for these grants now. So we decided to get them into the MTP sooner rather than later. So if and when they do receive these grants, they're ready to roll because they are in the MTP. Within the document itself, for these updates, we have updated the table 13 on page 50. That's the project cost and revenue to account for these two new projects. We are still fiscally constrained for those, so we are doing fine on that. The additional updates are shown on page 61, and that's going to be the update to the description for that O'Malley to Diamond project. And then the two new projects were added at the end of the complete streets list. So the first one is at the bottom of page 67, and the other is at the top of page 68. So those include the project description, the cost estimate, a timeline, as well as what federal performance areas it covers, and MTP goals. So I'm happy to answer questions or take any comments. Thank you.
Look like SJ has his hand up.
Great, thank you,
I was
Christine.
doing the same
This,
thing.
I guess, question. Oh,
You're good.
great, thank you, guys. This is probably this is a question through the chair. It's either to Christine or to Matt, I guess. And it's really more about process because we haven't submit comment before the meeting. Are we? I mean, is there any action that we can actually take besides just hearing? You know, I mean, is there actually comment that we can make as a commission or no?
So that's a great lead-in, SJ. And yes, we can make comment, but we did agree as a body and as a chair, I am taking a hard position that we discussed that comments would be submitted in advance and would be submitted for review for other committee members. So notice was sent out in advance and we received no comments. So I think it's a great discussion point, but I think it's important that we hold fast to the point that we had made that our committee comments are submitted beforehand.
Mr. Chair, this is
Great,
Nancy.
thank you.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Yes, I thought that we kind of had an understanding that for detailed, comments, we would submit something in writing beforehand. But I thought we were amenable to having discussion on, I I didn't feel that we were under an obligation that if we were going to make any comments at all, we would have to submit those in writing. And so we don't have this in writing that I know of. And so I'd like some clarification on that. I did submit written comments as best I could on the one issue I raised.
Correct.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a little discussion on any of these issues is relevant, and I don't feel that we should have no discussion and no input just because
Misunderstanding.
of a more.
I'm totally for the discussion. But as far as
Yeah.
adopting actionable items, that's the deviation right there. I think the discussion is very healthy and important.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. That was kind of specifically what I was asking about, Nancy. Is there a comment that we as a group could adopt? And the point that Matt is making is that no, at this meeting we can't. But we can discuss it ad nauseum. And if it turns out that there's a comment that we want to make, then we can schedule like a special meeting or something like that to adopt comments. Is that fair?
Absolutely. And I think we need to be as fair as possible. And could there be a comment that's simple that we adopt as a committee? Absolutely. But here becomes the issue with distinguishing why would one member, we would adopt theirs, and another member, we wouldn't potentially consider taking action on another. That line gets gray very quick. So I think it's important that if there's actionable items, not discussion, I think is very important. I think this group right here being educated and bringing back to the different community councils or organizations is very important. But actionable items, the intent was we would send them in advance so we could have thoughtful discussion on actionable items, on adoption of these specific actionable items.
Through the, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So if we, were to vote to approve this, would it be permissible to add any comments to our approval?
So as
We
far
are going
as
to take an action.
So I think through our discussion would be recorded in the minutes, and we will approve the minutes. But as far as the CAC taking a position on any of these actionable items, any position would require an actionable item beforehand. It would require, if there's something that you want to do, Nancy, we want to submit that before, so everyone coming to the meeting can develop their pros and cons of where their position is going to be, instead of on the fly, someone's going to release something. And also these are hybrid meetings, and I hope that everyone has a computer in front of them. I do today, but I also recognize that some people may not have a computer in front of them, so I would like the thoughtful research of comments in advance instead of on the fly. But there's nothing to prevent, Nancy, if you'd like to make any discussion point or bring it up, I'm in full support. It's just taking specific action.
And,
Okay, thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, just to be clear, one more clarification. It sounds like even if this was an action to approve, kind of the proposal, that's an action that has not been put in front of us because nobody has brought that forward. Is that correct?
So when we put the agenda out for 5A, B, C, and D, those are actionable items. So if someone wanted to adopt comments, take a position, or any of those points right there, that should be submitted in advance specifically for actionable items. Does that clarify what you're asking, or?
I think so. I mean, Nancy was talking about if we approve the amendment, that would be action. Nobody has submit a motion to approve or and so there's a fine line there, because if you open it up for, if there's a motion to approve, you open it up for, at least under Robert's rules, a motion to amend that approval. And so, anything can happen. But I just wanted to clarify our process. So I say we move forward with the discussion.
Really, what my goal also with this, Nancy, is that I would assume that some people after this meeting are going to feel very passionate that they would like to have, or maybe they don't, I don't know, but people will submit their comments in advance. And until we draw that fine line of submitting in advance for things that people want to adopt, I don't think and this has gone all over the place in the years past. We had it very hard, submit comments. Aaron did we had a lot of good structure in submitting. Then we tried to open it up to allow, and then it kind of went to the lines being blurred. So I'm really trying to get back to that. Everyone knows what to expect. In fact, I reached out to Christine to make sure that if there was any comments sent, so it would be disseminated to the entire body for review before this meeting, and there was none. But with that, Nancy, did you have some specific comments about the Amendment 2050 MTP? Go ahead, Nancy.
Very briefly, I wanted to just find out if there was any. I thought there was a second tier of comments that could go in that were sort of, just more explanatory, but I guess the answer is no. So my comments are just that my understanding is with regard to the adding the Seward Highway O'Malley Road to Diamond Boulevard into the MTP, I think don't have any room to discuss that project because we're asking to echo the language, or the MTP is only going to echo the language of the description that the policy committee already voted on. And my concern there, I guess you would say, is that in sort of rescaling this project, the description still says an undercrossing, doesn't specify whether it be a full freeway interchange. And I just see room for return to the full freeway interchange proposal that the community resisted for so long. And that's the kind of discussion that, I would forward to the AMATS committee, but in this case, PC, but in this case, I don't think it's even relevant because they've already passed the description. So.
Thank you, Nancy.
And with regard to the Potter Valley Life Safety Road, that's out in my area. The community council in question, Rabbit Creek, is quite in favor of it.
And so this brought up a good point. We've had a healthy discussion on this life safety funding separately. So, and this is probably a good question for staff. So if the project is included on MTP and then included on the Transportation Improvement Program, is the life safety fiscally constrained within the 200 million, or is there a completely separate source of funding? And the additional context before you answer is there was a bond done 4 years ago, basically that identified life safety roads. Chugiak Eagle River, we had a project, Mountain Road, that we, with that bond passing, and I'm assuming some of these other projects were on that bond as well. We came up with the design, and the intent was to seek construction funding at a later point. So coming back to the question of, is this funding fiscally constrained within the 200 million, or what is there room for adding a separate funding source? Aaron or Christine?
Hi. So the total project cost for both of these projects that were provided to us from the municipality are contained within that 200 million. Yeah, so I haven't been told about the bond information, but I can definitely get that for you.
Clarification. So these are anticipating on getting grant funding for the life safety access road. So the match would be paid for via the bond, but the projects themselves are anticipated to be using the grant funding if they receive it. If they don't receive it, I'm not sure how they're intending on paying for the projects themselves.
Aaron, who's administering the grant funding for these? Is AMATS administering?
Well, no, the muni is seeking the bond, is seeking the grant funding through the USDOT. I'm not sure if it goes directly to the municipality or if it'll go through DOT and the muni will have part of it. I'm not as familiar with these particular grants.
Is there a point of contact you'd recommend for gathering in for more information about the grants?
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend we can send that out, and I'll just point out this is part of the reason why you should get your questions in early. Because even if they're simple, quote unquote simple, some of them are things that staff has to do additional research on. So it's very helpful for us to have a little bit extra time to do this research so we can provide this information for you at these meetings.
Great point, Aaron. Are there any other questions, discussion points about the 2050 MTP amendment? Well, I will bring up one other item that I've been fielding, and be good probably for everyone here. So nominating projects, my understanding is separate. Just because a project is nominated doesn't mean it'll be ranked and scored until potentially an amendment that would rank and score those. But we've had a question, is there any specific time that community councils or individuals are limited to for nominating projects, or can they nominate projects on MTP at any time to be held and holding until time allows for ranking and scoring in an MTP amendment?
Yeah, I can.
I'm sorry, I can, you can nominate the projects at any time. The biggest challenge is our program is fiscally constrained, or the plan is fiscally constrained. So if you're going to nominate a project to add to it, we either have to find additional funding, which almost never happens, like these grants, for example, or we have to pull something out of the program. So, if you submit the project to us with a request that it be incorporated into the MTP, and you don't include anything there about how it's going to be funded or anything like that, it's a real challenge for us as staff on what we're supposed to do with that project. So I guess the answer is you can nominate anything at any time. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll be added to the MTP right away.
No, that's great clarification. At least I think of always the tip as being fiscally constrained, but MTP is also fiscally constrained at those projects as well. So best time is basically when something potentially gets defunded, but then the challenge is you're probably battling other projects that are on the illustrious to be potentially added.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you got to keep in mind is that we go through an entire process for the MTP where we do a call for nominations when it's that time. And we have a whole list of projects that weren't included in the MTP, but that were nominated as part of that process. So, when you nominate something after that process, we have to score and rank it and compare to how it did versus everything else. So even if a project gets defunded out of the MTP, it doesn't necessarily mean that whatever you nominate is going to score high enough to move into the program, at least based on the scoring. The policy committee can do whatever it wants.
Yeah. When is apologize for the ignorant question, when is the next MTP? Or would it be the next update, 20? I don't know. Like, is every 10 years, Aaron?
We're just about to start that. It's going to be for 2055, but the RFP went out, and so we should kick that off here in the next month or so is the hope. Is the plan.
Thank you. Nancy? Can you hear me, Nancy?
I would just, yeah. I just wondered when the next call was going to go for MTP projects.
That's good info. You got one more, Nancy, or you just put your hand down?
You know, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer. It must have cut out. I was wondering when, in terms of months, I assume, the next call would go forward for nominations for MTP projects.
So for this nomination, or for this this update, we have a much shorter timeline that we have to get it approved by, and a smaller budget. And we also want to see projects move through and get completed. So for this one, we're doing a lighter update where we're keeping the projects that we have now. If they all still meet the performance measures and the goals and objectives, those are being looked at again to make sure they are still relevant. If they are still relevant and applicable, then all the current projects should be too. Just with how long projects take from start to finish, we would like to see some of them go through the whole process instead of new rounds of projects every time and nothing being completed. So that is the hope for this plan. Again, if the goals and objectives end up changing drastically, we will have a call for projects. But again, we're hoping that is, we're not planning on that, but it could happen.
So I made an assumption, and I guess that's partly why, Nancy, I was moving on right there is, so 2055 is the next deliverable, and you're currently working on the advertising for the next RFP for the vendor to organize it. So we won't know a specific period of time that even things can be submitted until that RFP is awarded, or does that not matter and it's just specific federal guidelines of when we have to have the period?
Sorry, is that for nominations, or can you repeat that question?
Sure. So what I heard is you're not really planning on doing a conventional nomination. But with that said, you're going to be doing the next MTP is going to be the 2055, and you're currently working on advertising for the next RFP for the vendor that would run that MTP program. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And
we're
once
just
that
finishing
vendor,
up the RFP process. Yes.
Exactly. So until you award that RFP to a vendor, you wouldn't have a hard timeline.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's all I was trying to.
That,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So once we don't have a timeline set yet, but once we have that consultant in place and our project kickoff, our first thing is to set up that timeline. So I would assume we would have everything set up probably by your next meeting, since you all are quarterly. Hopefully, obviously, governments move a little slowly, but that's the hope.
Yep. Okay. Do we have any other comments before we move to the public? Hearing none, are there any members of the public online wishing to comment about amendment to the 2050 transportation plan? Not hearing any, we'll move to 5B, amendment to the 2023-2026 funding program. Tip.
Yes, hello everybody. This is me. This is Aaron. I am taking the next two items on. I do want to let you know I'm also having to attend the assembly meeting at the same time, so bear with me. First before you is the TIP amendment number 4. This is for the 23 through 26 TIP amendment, or TIP, making some changes here. There's some pretty big changes throughout. We're affecting tables 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. So it's almost all of the tables in here. And there's some pretty big ones that are going through. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, so I didn't want to go through every single one, but I can help answer any questions that you have for them. I do want to note that when the policy committee put this amendment out for public comment, they did express some concerns over the decisions by Commissioner Anderson to defund some safety projects in the HSIP table, and we've highlighted those in the memo. I will let you know that since this was released, the municipality of Anchorage and the Department of Transportation have gotten together to amend that funding plan, and some of those projects will actually receive funding. So we'll be updating that information as part of Admin Mod number 5, which is going out in February. So unfortunately, some of the information in this amendment is a little bit dated, but that's what happens when you don't get the information to us on time. So I'm looking at it and I can go through individual things if you guys need, or I can just help answer questions. But I did want to point out one really cool thing in this amendment that we're looking at doing, and it's on table 5 under congestion mitigation and air quality. A new project was added, which is the Downtown Transit Center. So the municipality has been working on the Downtown Transit Center for a little while now, and AMATS is helping to provide the funding for it, either through the state with their congestion mitigation air quality funding. If the state is not able to provide us that funding, then AMATS will go ahead and use our own funding, about 22 million. It says 25 million in there because that's with match, but it'll be about 22 million, and then you have the match added to it. So it's about 25 million that AMATS will be providing as part of our program. So we're pretty excited for that. And then there's some fare modernization stuff in there for transit. So those are really, really, really cool. With that said, I can go ahead and turn it over to you all if you have any questions for me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Okay, do we have any questions, general discussion items? So let me go to the separate tab, make sure nobody else has their hand up. Not seeing any going
Oh, I
once,
think-
twice. Oh, go ahead,
Excuse
Nancy.
me, I think my hand's up. It shows
Oh,
it's up.
it's not
Yeah.
displaying up.
Okay, now.
You're good. Go ahead. I was just giving you feedback that yeah.
All right. I'm with Rabbit Creek Community Council. They have voted on some of these projects. The comments, I guess, haven't been sent in yet, but Rabbit Creek Community Council is concerned about the pushing of the Rabbit Creek Road rehabilitation to the out years, given that it's a road with about 9,000, almost 9,000 vehicle trips per day and growing. And was hoping that this could have a project reduction rather than a complete postponement. And so is interested in having some safety improvements at the most dangerous parts of that roadway, such as the intersection with the old Seward Highway and the Elmo Road intersection and the Golden View intersection. So just, that's something that the Rabbit Creek Community Council is commenting on separately. And I do, they're in District 6, so I'm raising that now. But since I guess I didn't put any comments in ahead of time, that can't be a comment that we submit as an advisory committee.
Thank you, Nancy. And that actually reminds me, there was a discussion item that came out of Subursa last night. So we have a connection from the Ladybug Rock, Peters Creek to Mirror Lake that we had design and construction funding in this tip. And I was made aware, which I thought it was design and construction, but the construction funding has been moved out of this tip. And then, Chuck, did you remember the project that increased that exact amount? You're muted, Chuck, if you're.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So one of the people attending our meeting, did mention that I believe it was a project off of Minnesota that coincidentally was the exact same dollar amount that was moved from the Peters Creek project to Anchorage. And one thing I guess I'll just mention is that very little of this tip money is actually going to the Chugiak Eagle River area. There's actually only 4 projects that are funded under this program, which is, I think, really sad for the residents of Chugiak Eagle River that so little of the tip money actually goes into the community out in the Chugiak Eagle River area. But I don't remember the specific project.
Yeah, I couldn't remember either. No worries. Nancy, you have your hand up?
No, I don't. Something's
So
amiss.
it's displaying up. It might have been down when you hit it, went up. It's no big deal. Okay. Not hearing any other comments, I'll open it up to members of the public. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak about amendment to the 2023-2026 funding program? Not hearing any, we'll move to 5C. And it sounds like Aaron, you'll be covering this one.
Yep, this is our new funding program for the 27 through 2030 timeframe. So this is where we've had to, our current tip right now is ending soon. And so what we need to do is go ahead and get our new one started. So before you is the actual 27 through 30 tip that's out for public comment. This is what we're anticipating putting forward based on, and then we'll update it based on public comments. The big thing to remember here is that we have to be fiscally constrained, and we have a lot of projects that are underway that are very expensive, and the costs keep going up. So unfortunately, because of the endless delays of projects in the Anchorage area by the Department of Transportation, we have had to delay a lot of projects from full funding in the 27 through 30 tip. So we have a number of illustrative projects. We did add a couple of new ones in, which we're really excited about. And you may say, well, wait, how did you add new ones in if you don't have enough money to keep the other ones going? Well, that's because these are the design hits to start new projects so we can have some new projects for the next tip or the tip after. You got to remember that for us as staff, it's an endless cycle of projects underway and new ones needing started. So what we did to help select these new projects is we went to the 2050 MTP because projects in there are scored and ranked. And we just went down the list of the projects and selected a few based on the needs, based on kind of how, I don't want to say inexpensive, but maybe a little less expensive and impactful those projects are. Because we recognize we still are going to have a bunch of pretty expensive projects to get done, even after this current tip cycle. So the idea was to select a few. We added in the Denali Complete Street project, which we're pretty excited about. We also added in a non-motorized project for the Tudor Road area. It's really like Tudor to Roosevelt. It's like a small mini connection that we're adding in, that would be really, really cool. And then we have 15th Avenue as a complete street project to look at maybe doing some lane reductions there or reallocation of the right of way. And so that one's going to be really, really cool. We also have some new plans and studies. We have, the next MTP update because we always have to do that. The safety plan update, and then we have a couple of corridor plans. And then there were a few new National Highway System projects that were added in at the request of the Department of Transportation, including the O'Malley to Diamond Boulevard reconstruction project. So it's out right now for public comment. It's actually going to go through public hearing at the next assembly meeting. So if you're interested in making comments there, I encourage you to attend. What we're anticipating here is once the public comment period ends, we'll adjudicate the comments and then we'll bring it back for final approval by the policy committee in March. So I can help answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. SJ, you're muted.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, through the chair. The public comment period ends before our next CAC meeting. So I'm wondering, just because I do think this tip the new tip is pretty important, and it would be good for us to have comment to kind of go into the process. Do we want, if it turns out that there's interest on behalf of commissioners to come up with comment, do we want to hold a special meeting? I mean, I guess I didn't see anything really come in substantial for us to consider today.
So SJ, I'm generally supportive if we have committee members that are wishing, as long as it's productive. And the only reason I say it's productive is we've had special meetings, then still no one's had comments coming in, just stressing the importance. If we're going to call, let's do one to back it up. Do you have comments?
Yeah,
SJ?
I'm more suggesting that, I have not really. I mean, a lot of the projects I've been tracking and involved with, and I mean, I'm excited to see like the 15th Avenue and the Denali stuff happening. And I haven't dove in deep into the document yet, but I mean, I just think by email, if commissioners start communicating and have interest in making comment before the deadline, then we should make a special meeting happen. But I think it's only if there's comment to be made. So.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. And also just to remind with Open Meeting Act, if you do, well, actually, staff, Christine, remind me if it's just a general discussion, as long as we're not discussing what the comments, more that we have comments, can we interact through a thread, or would that still be considered a violation?
Yeah, I think that would still be a violation if you're talking about anything that could be an action item. You're not supposed to have more than 2 members in that conversation, that private conversation.
So even if we have a comment and we're not describing it, you still think you would tie to it?
I think if enough people have comments, they should bring that up now, and we could do another meeting.
Point made.
Yeah.
Okay, and so just to clarify, SJ was saying in the thread, what we were referencing right there is Open Meeting Act. We're trying to be very conscious of that and stay in compliance. So right now would be a good point to bring up if you do, if you do have comments that you'd like to bring forth and submit, to have a special meeting to potentially adopt or comments made by individual commissioners.
This is SJ. If I may, I'll make comment for that we can't consider, obviously, but that would lead to sort of consideration towards a special meeting. Okay. Yeah, I guess there are projects in the new tip proposal that are kind of in support of 2 things that I've been tracking, which is the Seward Glen Pell Planning Environmental Linkages Study and the Reconnecting Communities project, which is another Fairview specific project. I'm interested in seeing projects in the tip that support or kind of comport with the priorities in the Pell. The Pell isn't finished in its final draft yet. It's supposed to be forthcoming. I mean, we've made comment on that process as well, and the priorities in the Pell that may not comport with kind of what's in our tip right now. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess I think there is a need for us to make comment on some specific projects, but I don't have exactly which ones in front of me right now. But I do know that, I mean, 15th is one. I mean, we've also got kind of a Hyder Greenway proposal that I haven't seen in there, and a couple of other things. So
you're in support of a special meeting, SJ?
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, I think the best way to kind of move forward is maybe we schedule a special meeting, and if there aren't comments submit, then we cancel the special meeting. Considering we can't make, we can't send ideas around and gauge support for a special meeting outside of this meeting from the sounds of it.
That's actually a really good point. I like that, is because this meeting, if we don't send in, I think there's still a lot of value of just the opportunity to discuss it and make everyone aware. Whereas if we're doing a special meeting and the intent is for people to submit comments, but no comments are actually submitted, why are we going to hold that meeting? That great point, SG. I do like that a lot. So just to try to gauge everyone else, commissioner wise, does anybody else, would they like to have a special meeting with specifically the 2027, 2030 tip as an actionable item and comments regarding the new tip? Go ahead, Nancy.
This- I would.
Perfect.
This
So,
is Bob
well,
Franchek. I would think it could be useful.
Perfect. Okay, so it sounds like for sure with we definitely have some interest. So
Yes.
Christine. Perfect. That was another yes.
John
from
Scudder,
Thank
yes.
you. Awesome.
Diana Evans, yes. And I also would want to, I looked on the AMAT site today. I was trying to find out what the actual date for public comment due date was, and I couldn't find it in a kind of upfront place. So when is the 45-day comment period over?
It ends February 15th.
Okay.
If you look on the main page, there's upcoming events and it's there for all three of these actions, 5A, B, and C. And then there's a button very in the beginning that says current opportunities. If you click on that, that'll go to the email that tells you all three of those programs and plans that are out for public comment right now.
Chuck?
Yeah, I saw that February 15th and I didn't click on the, I wished it would have had the three projects mentioned. I didn't know I was supposed to click somewhere to find out what they were.
The current opportunities click is what you could do as well.
Okay. And I would like to have, I know of two councils in my area that are planning resolutions that they're going to submit, and I would be supporting those and passing those on for consideration to our committee.
Oh, that sounds great. Chuck?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of opposed to it that, this has been out for over a month. They gave us this information and I took this to my council and we've discussed it. And we've submitted a letter for projects in our area. But I know that last week here, I'm not going to be available. And I think it would have been appropriate to make these comments at this meeting and to have reviewed this. We've had, actually over 3 weeks since it went out, but it's actually been out for almost 2 months now. So anyways, I guess I'm kind of opposed to scheduling a special meeting on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Do we have any other, so it sounds like generally the body would like to have a special meeting. So Christine, could you schedule Aaron? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do want to just say that we did extra work to get this information out to everybody earlier, so you had more time to review it. So it would be really appreciated in the future if you all could get your comments in a timely fashion. Because now you guys are going to do something kind of at the last minute and it puts a lot of stress on staff, and we have a lot going on regularly. So I ask, you're part of this committee. You're assigned to review these things and bring these comments forward in a timely manner. So maybe when we have these comment periods where we give extra time where we've provided it to people even before the comment period starts, that you guys work together to get the comments in when we have these meetings scheduled. Thanks.
Diana?
Yeah, I understand that, Aaron, but with our council meeting schedules, we aren't even going to, at Rogers Park, not going to be able to vote on it till February 9th. And it's just a matter of where the public notice comes out and, when the meeting schedules are for the councils. It's really tough, even with 45 days to write a resolution, look at the information, get it out to the councils and
and get something back.
That's why we sent it out back in what, November, December for everybody to start reviewing before the actual
Christmas.
official public comment period started.
So I would echo, I can. So the body sounds like they want to do a special meeting unless I hear that anyone's opinion has changed. And we are really cranking down now on how important it is to submit your comments in advance. But I would say, out of respect to staff, this is our opportunity. And I do appreciate, Aaron, Christine, thank you you did give us significant extra time before the public release. I thought it was November. I thought we had a good chunk of extra time before the official start. So I do think these are the opportunities for public comment. And when we come to these meetings and we don't have comments with us, to schedule an additional special meeting over specifically items that are already listed on the agenda. I think it's important that we respect staff's time at the same time, as long as there is realistic time to go to the community councils and gather feedback. But with that, I know we're cranking down, and I am hearing, are there any other comments before we see if Christine can schedule a meeting? Christine, is it possible that you could do a Survey Monkey for a meeting? Thank you.
I can do that. And maybe one thing we could do, the recreational trails plan is just going out and it will be due before your April meeting. So we could add, if we're already doing a special meeting for this item, we could add that to see if committee members want to make comments on that plan as well. And I could have those two items together if you would like to make comment on that plan.
That sounds great. If there's any plans that are coming that are open for public comment and getting on the agenda, sounds like a great idea. Okay, do we have anything else with 2027, 2030 tip? Hearing none. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak about the 2027, 2030 tip? Hearing no members of the public wishing to speak, we'll move to 5D, Safer Seward Highway Project. Was this you, Christine, or? Or was this just a placeholder for actionable item? Nancy?
I submitted it, so I don't know if Christine wants to frame it or if I should.
Oh, go for ahead. This was the one that you said that, yes, the 40-page document. Okay. Go ahead, Nancy.
1,200 pages, actually.
1,200 pages. Holy cow. Yeah, that's a big one.
So I put in writing what I could. I've been studying pretty much every day since, so I will add some verbal information for your background. The Safer Seward Highway, I'm assuming you're all aware of it, so I'll just very briefly say it goes from Bird Flats at mile 98.5 to Rabbit Creek Road, which is north of the Rabbit Creek shooting range. And as you know, the project cost has ballooned to its variable $1.3, $1.4, $1.5 billion. And AMATs in the last 12 months or so, becoming alarmed at the scale of the project and at the cost of that portion, which lies within the AMAT's boundary north of about mile 114, took it out of the TIP and took it out of the MTP. So nonetheless, CAC, I think, is responsible for commenting on this because the northern part of the project does lie within the AMAT's boundary. And now I'm sort of reading from my list. The municipality has reviewed the design and had numerous questions and wanted DOT to sort of, take another look and come back. and they just chose to go ahead with it. So basically the municipality did not endorse it, and DOT said, okay, never mind, we're going ahead. The Safer Seward Highway, separate from the environmental assessment that's out for public review, DOT is not responsible for balancing other higher priority safety projects the way AMATS does, but it does compete with funding for other safety improvement projects. And then as AMATs, we need to be concerned about and as citizens need to be concerned about the maintenance costs, which have not been defined. So my understanding is that DOT is choosing to proceed unilaterally with the design they prefer, which is a 4-lane, vertically divided 55-mile-an-hour roadway design along the entirety of the project. And my understanding is there's some legal question whether they can do that because they don't have the project approval or the project anticipation in the TIP or the MTP, but they're proceeding. But MPOs do implicitly have a shared decision responsibility. And so on that basis, I think we as a committee should encourage the policy committee to take action. Aaron, did you want to correct me on anything there?
No, that sounds good.
Okay, so the analysis and critique of the draft EA, and what I'm hoping for here and what I'm asking for as an action is for the AMATS to the AMATS policy committee and the technical advisory committee and the staff to drill down on this and give a really robust analysis, and to get them started on that. Some of the areas or topics of concern are the statement of purpose and need. It just don't seem to be substantiated. There's misleading data on the traffic volumes and capacity, and that leads to the false claim that only the vertically divided 4-lane, which is called the CT7, can deliver safety and mobility. Part of the issue there is that the traffic volumes that they're modeling for are based on peak summer values, even though the traffic danger, the safety danger, is highest in the winter. Once you start reading into the appendices, which I did more in detail after putting this forward, you find that the 50% of more than 50% of the accidents occur in the winter months, specifically December through March. That's when traffic levels are half what they are in the summer. So they're modeling it mostly for July, which has a 10 to 20% peak spike in traffic over any other month. But that's what they're going for, July traffic. So that's part of the capacity issue. Another of the capacity issues is that traffic continues to move at the projected 55 miles an hour, even when there is more traffic in the lanes. And the concern seems to be what DOT calls platooning, the idea that cars should have to follow other cars. And they go by level of service model, and if more than 4 cars are following another car within a given mile, then the level of service drops from A to B. And if they're more than, I don't know what it is exactly, I'm not looking at the figures, but like if 9 cars within a whole mile are following other cars, then it goes to a C or a D or an E or an F. And that seems to be the main concern driving the expansion. So anyway, some of the other things that I think they should look at is as it says, focus on the summer peak volumes, the intersections not being well modeled. I'm particularly concerned with the intersection of Potter Valley Road, where there are going to be 16,000 vehicles per day moving on the highway. There isn't a number given for the number of vehicles moving on and off Potter Valley Road, but now that we see that Potter Valley Road may be connected to Golden View Drive, and there may be Chugach State Park access up that way, and Potter Valley Road is going to be a frontage road for the turning and arm trail. There's a lot of unknown cross traffic, and that intersection in particular hasn't been modeled. There's going to be replacement parking, which will be lost at the section house, replacement parking that will be lost at the trailhead. There's going to be an undercrossing for the bike path there, which means lanes, highway lanes presumably have to be elevated. There's a creek and wetlands on the uphill side of the creek. There's cliffs, and the 10-foot wide or whatever, 14-foot wide bike lane footprint will be over on that side. They're already saying that their parking will probably stack up along that new frontage road. So it's just, the details are not there. So that's another reason for concern about this proposal. Looking at what I've written here, I guess another big concern is the scale of the project not meeting the requirement to mitigate or to avoid and minimize undue impacts when you have parkland and refuge land. And a specific on that is that the 4-lane divided, of course, is much wider than the 3-lane. But even among the options for the 4-lane, if they were to put in a barrier, it would be 120 feet wide. And that is, the barrier is proposed along some segments. If they put in, so it's 120 feet, they could have their 4 lanes. If they put in a 30-foot median, it's 148 feet. What they've gone for in some places is 370 feet wide to allow for the vertical separation. Particularly from Potter to McHugh Creek, where there are no substandard curves that need to be fixed. They're proposing north lanes 100 feet higher than the south lanes and a median up to 200 feet wide for almost 3 miles. Another couple of concerns that I've come up with, the idea of there are only 6 curves that are inadequate for 55 miles an hour. They're all between Windy and Beluga Point. That's mile 107 to 110.5. That's where the curves need fixing. And yet they have this, huge blasting and expansion on stretches from the whole rest of the 20-mile project. There's also a big concern about the downplayed the potential for targeted safety measures. And in one of the appendices, Appendix C, we see that since 2006, with things like rut repair, rockfall mitigation, they reduced serious crashes by 56% with those small incremental safety improvements. Fatal crashes have what we call an insignificant change. There was a 2% increase. It's such a small sample size that, it's really hard to have a statistical effect. But anyway, it downplays the effectiveness of incremental targeted safety improvements at a fraction of the cost. I guess my final comment on the need to really drill down on the technical inadequacies. I guess I have 2 more actually. In modeling safety, when you look into the appendices, there wasn't a model that showed the safety improvements when you straighten curves on multi-lane roads. So HDR consultant, they extrapolated. Somebody should look at that. That's kind of, it's a judgment call, and somebody needs to second guess that. And I guess just finally, I would say in terms of the assumptions about behavior, there's real disregard for the benefit of having a little more traffic on the road for actually calming traffic. And the Appendix C notes that when drivers feel that the road is, wide open and safe, they will increase their speed to match their perception of how fast they could drive. And some sections of the roadway are already resulting in 80-mile-an-hour speeds. And DOT says that design should keep the perceived speed to within about 10 miles an hour throughout the corridor, and not have, sections where you feel you can go 80. But that's what this design does. So I've added a bunch of information that I know won't be written down, but hopefully it will help inform the committee members about the importance of asking AMAT staff and the technical and the policy committees to do a really blunt and expert analysis of this environmental assessment.
Thank you,
I
Nancy.
guess
It sounds like
everybody
you
fell
spent,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, it sounds like you spent a lot of time going through it, so good on you. It sounds like Nancy's a wealth of knowledge right here. Do we have any questions? Discussion points? So just curious, so it's been stripped out of the MPO, the portion around Windy Corner.
No, Potter Marsh.
Potter Marsh. Oh, thank you. How much was what was the amount that was stripped? What is the cost? So if there was ever a point that they put it back into MTP tip, even if it's STIP, what kind of dollar amount is within the MPO?
My recollection was 290 million, but Aaron knows.
Yeah, it's around there, and it's probably actually more than that. I think, the problem is we're not getting a straight answer from DOT on how much the cost would be for the portion in the MPO boundary. I just want to make sure everybody realizes that even if it's, the challenge with the project of this cost and magnitude, you can't limit yourself to just the MPO side of things. A project like this is going to be so expensive for such a long period of time that all the funding that goes towards transportation projects will be impacted for everywhere in the state. Not AMAT's funding, because we aren't putting any funding towards it, but all the DOT funding that goes into this STIP. So, I understand the desires to be like, well, how much is an impact for the AMAT's area? It's not just the AMAT's funding or the funding that would go, quote unquote, go to AMAT's. It'll pull from any possible project that could go elsewhere within the AMAT's project that hasn't been conceived of at this point because of the cost. And I'll be very blunt with you all. It is going to cost more than $1.4 billion for this project. We all know that. And the prime example of that is the Cooper Landing Bypass project, which has been going on since the 70s.
Yeah. How much is the Cooper? Just curious, Aaron. Do you know what the current cost of the bypass is at?
I think the bypass is like a billion, and that's not counting for all the funding they've spent to date. I don't know the total cost to date.
Yeah, I thought they were like, now their total estimated was like 1.2, and I thought we started at 600 million.
Well, yeah, that's how this project started as well. This project started at 700 million and is 1.4 billion at this point.
Yeah. Prices definitely skyrocket. SJ?
Great.
Muted,
Thank
SJ.
you. I just, thanks. I just wanted to echo what Aaron was saying. I mean, we're working on the Seward Glen Pell, and there are projects that really are going to go into the STIP if they're going to happen, or the STIP if they're going to happen. And, I mean, if the Safer Seward Highway, quote unquote, project happens, then, we can kiss our projects goodbye for sure.
If
Do we
I
have
could
any
chime in
other-
again, I
Go ahead.
think we all recognize that safety improvements are a good idea on most roadways. There are many incremental things that could be done here. Another just factoid and illustration of that. The clear zones already exist for 44% of this project area, and guardrails exist for 26%. So that leaves 80% of the project that doesn't have adequate clear zones or guardrails. Okay, let's start there. With projects like that, we could have some meaningful safety improvements at a fraction of the cost. So I'm hoping that sanity will prevail over grandiosity and unaffordability here.
Any other comments? Diana?
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking, I mean, this is like a discussion that goes beyond, the city. It's stuff we need to keep, hammer on with the legislative branch. It's just ridiculous because this statewide spending is just killing a lot of transportation.
Good point. A lot of this is outside of the MPO, and Aaron's point is there are some major implications with other STIP funding if they put all their eggs into a basket.
So, question for the body. I mean, I think Nancy's comments are great, and her goal of getting, kind of getting some more intense comments provided by the TC and the PAC makes sense. Is that an actionable item? Because Nancy had brought those comments forward, and if so, I move that we approve these comments.
Clarification. So we had on the agenda Safer Seward Highway Project. And if I missed it, I stand corrected. But was a specific documented comment or position submitted regarding 5D? Aaron?
Sorry, I wasn't raising my hand for that, but yes, these comments were submitted in time to be posted to the agenda for today's meeting. So it is something you can vote on. But I want to mention really quickly, before you guys take a vote, these comments do need to be cleaned up some. I'll be honest with you. I'm not comfortable with some of them going to the TACM Policy Committee because really what it is these are going to be sent to the project team. And then we're going to let the TACM PC know that these are the comments that were sent to the project team because that's our approach to these things. And some of the comments, maybe need to be a little bit more professional for coming from the Community Advisory Committee. One note is there's a comment in here that the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit will be a joke.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some of that we need to clean up a little. That's fine if we want to talk about it as a committee and, have a joke about it. That's okay. But I think as a committee, it needs to be a little more serious. And then there's some in there that AMAT staff needs to do this. We need to fill in some more information here. So the only thing I would caution is that we need to clean them up a little more before we send them out.
Chuck? You're muted.
Yeah, actually, what Aaron just commented was some of the things that I highlighted in this document. And I think a very simple one-page maximum, a few paragraphs addressing the concerns, but going into the extent of detail is, I think most of us committee members haven't looked at this to that extent. So, but yeah, exactly what Aaron just said. I think it could be cleaned up to just a one-page letter and, scaled back. Nancy can submit these comments on her own, going into the great detail, but anyways, that's my comment on it. Thank you.
So it looks like we have an opportunity with a special meeting coming up. Nancy, as you're the one that submitted this, and you did meet deadlines on submitting this in advance. Question for you, would you be supportive of consolidating the comments?
When you say consolidating them, I certainly can clean them up for tone. Where I have done the research to cite information from the appendices, I hope that would be acceptable. I don't know that putting it on one page is, yeah, when it's 1,200 page document, it's really very easy to do.
So Nancy, when you're talking to the board of your specific concerns, you can reference generalities of really the intent of this project right there. Because there's some general themes that you're trying to capture out of this entire project of smaller, do we really need to do such a mega project? Could we address some of these smaller items specifically?
Yes, those are general themes. I guess I don't know how much time policy committee representatives and staff are going to have to put into it. And I would be happy to, feed them facts such as I shared with you, that the difference between a barrier highway at a 120 feet and what they've proposed with vertical lanes is at 370 feet. I think that's illustrative, but I don't know. I guess you're asking me not to provide details, and is that going to set back AMAT's staff efforts, or is that going to help?
I don't know. What's Christine or Aaron? So
Yeah. So the reality is there's not going to be enough time. AMAT staff is working on our own comments to submit. There is not going to be enough time for us to take what you have here, Nancy, and look through the items that you've asked for, and get those submitted. Because we submit our comments and then we bring them to the TAC and the policy committee for them to decide whether they want to support those comments, not support them, or send their own comments. We have to get everything posted by this Thursday for the TAC.
You mean 2 days?
Yes. So we don't have the ability to do this further analysis. We've already done our own to the best of our extent. I'll be honest with you. It has been so overwhelming, this document, that staff has been unable to look at every possible thing there is. So we're just trying to hit the highlights where we can. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're asking AMAT staff to do more analysis before the end of the comment period. It will not happen.
Aaron, when was the specific end of public comment?
Well, I think they just extended it, didn't they?
Yeah, it's not till February 27th. So
Okay.
I guess I was hoping this would be helpful to AMAT staff. But if AMAT staff isn't going to even look at this, then I guess I would still want to put the details in, because they may not get to some of these details, and I think they're valuable.
I think that was what I was trying to say. I didn't want you guys to cut things out of here and be like, oh, AMAT staff will get to it. We're probably not going to be able to get to it before we have to post everything Thursday. If there's an opportunity to do an extensive review like later, we can probably do that. So don't remove things from here with the detail and rely on AMAT staff to do it.
Okay, so that said, I would definitely clean this up and organize it to bring out the themes, but I would like to include details on the assumption that AMATs can't cover everything. It's 1,200 pages, and some of these points might not be different from what they're covering.
It seems like it might be just good enough to, point out places where we see problems and say more information is needed. The public needs more information, and AMATs needs more information and analysis by the project team.
SJ?
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Nancy, first off, I really appreciate the amount of work that you've put into this, and I think it's incredibly valuable. And I think all of the analysis that you've done deserves to go into a document that the CAC approves. Whether that means what format that takes, I mean, I think having a one-page highlight with bullets or whatever to kind of just lay out the generalities as Matt suggested, but I think having some sort of table of comments as specific as you've laid out, I think is incredibly valuable and really necessary for the CAC to kind of move forward as a as a body, and our comment will at least get accepted into the review process. That said, I mean, I've made a motion to approve this. I mean, as far as process goes, we can either amend, try to amend.
So, hold on. Okay. So
yeah.
SJ, maybe I totally missed that. You did move to approve?
I did, but there was no second. So,
yeah. Okay.
I mean, if we want to take it on, we can either move in second now and then table it to our special meeting to dive in and give Nancy a chance to kind of revisit and everybody put their thinking caps on with it, or we can engage in that process now. I'm ambivalent. I think it would be a long meeting if we did it now.
I am in the queue to make a motion to postpone this item to our special meeting. So I'm ready to make that motion.
Okay, and so just for the minutes right there, SJ made a motion. The motion died due to the lack of a second, just for record keeping. It appears that Ali, you made a motion to postpone this to the special meeting. We had a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
This is SJ. I'll second that.
That's seconded. We're in discussion. Is there any further discussion? Just what I'm hearing so far.
I'm eager to pin down a date to make sure that we have a quorum so that we actually can take action. I say that because I was really disappointed in October when we didn't have a quorum for our regular meeting. And, I spent time preparing and all that. And I certainly wouldn't want this effort to die because we didn't have a quorum. So part of my interest in, or part of my support for this scheduling at a special meeting is to know that people can attend and pass it or give it its due.
Are there any other comments? We have a motion on the floor to postpone to the special meeting. Nancy?
Do we have a date? And does it need to be before I assume it needs to be before the February 27th public comment deadline?
So the intent right now, we would do SurveyMonkey, and the reason we'd use SurveyMonkey is to try to pick a date and time with maximum engagement.
It would have to be before the 15th for the other action items A, B, and C.
Okay.
And then just to be clear, it's also, we want to make sure we have a week's notice to distribute our comments on things like the tip as well. Is that correct?
Correct. Okay. That's actually a good discussion point. What was the advanced, Christine, what was the advanced timeline we've been doing for submitting comments before posting the agenda?
Yeah, we don't really have that time for this because it would be now. So if we were going to, let's say we had this meeting on February 10th, which is two weeks from now, you would have gotten me all your comments today. We had posted on the 3rd. So it'll probably be that week of the 10th, if that works for folks. For posting, it would almost have to be, unless it was the end of next week. It could be on the 4th if we post tomorrow, but those are not giving you the week of you getting your comments in a week ahead, just so you can see them before we post them. So it's kind of a bit of a tight situation for items A, B, and C.
So I think it's going to have to be as close to, I guess the time on that day is really the question, but it sounds like you already have a specific day in mind, Christine?
Well, I was just looking at the calendar. Yeah, I don't have a specific day and time, but the 10th, just because we have them on Tuesdays from 5 to 7. If it was the 10th from 5 to 7, then you could maybe get your comments in.
So question,
soon.
and just to cut down on some time, because normally the Survey Monkey's open, people put in on it. If we picked a date right now, that would be helpful.
Yeah, you could pick a date right now.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a whole week to review each other's comments in this
But we can get a
particular
couple days.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking at the calendar, Christine, which I'm guessing you are, do you what date specifically would be ideal for you?
Are we looking at the same night, 5 to 7 for the committee?
Why
5
not?
to 7 works for me. I think it'd be good to go around the room and get input if that timeline works.
That timeline could work for me.
Yeah, then the week of the 9th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, what would work best for you guys?
Not Thursday. That's my community council meeting.
Okay.
Not the 11th. That's my community council meeting.
How about
Yep,
Tuesday?
That's all.
The 10th works.
10th
Tenth.
works?
10th works.
Yeah,
for
this
me.
is SJ. I mean, as long as it's that 5 to 7 window, yeah, 8, any like 10 Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday is fine for us, for me. So
As long
the
as 6
10th.
people can say the 10th can work, we can do that.
And so I heard a minimum of 6 people that works for. Are there, I guess, better way of putting it, are there any people that time does not work? And I know that we'll probably have 1 or 2, but I just want to make sure we don't have enough to prevent our quorum. Okay, not hearing any, it sounds like we're a go. So the 10th, 5 to 7. And Christine, will you send out just an email so all committee members are aware of their timeline to submit?
Yep, we'll post on the 3rd. So just if I can get people's comments by Thursday or Friday, then you can have a couple of days to look at them before they get posted.
Perfect.
But yeah.
So I have a question. I wasn't aware that we have a practice of having a internal review period before the comments are posted. I thought that the comments were posted and then we all bring our, changes and comments to the meeting for discussion. I wasn't aware of an internal review period because getting them by in 3 days, that was, I'm not sure I can do that.
Yeah, there's nothing in the bylaws. I think it's something this committee has discussed a couple times that they would just like to review comments. There is nothing in the bylaws currently that says that you can't do it the way the TAC does it. I mean, TAC and PC do not do that. I believe some of the subcommittees are moving that way. BPAC just submitted their comments and posted their agenda, so they have their comments submitted and everybody saw them for items A, B, and C on your agenda. Also was on their agenda. It's kind of, we can try to make it a hard, fast rule and get it into the bylaws. It's just, it makes it easier, I guess, if you can see it. And then discussion is on those particular comments, but there isn't a hard and fast rule.
No, I understand the posting it 7 days before, but what I thought I heard you saying is that things should be in by Thursday or Friday this week, which would be the whatever 29th, 30th, which would be 10 days ahead, so that people on the committee could take a look at the comments before they're posted. And to me, that seemed as if that would be similar to like ex parte discussion. If we're working on each other's, if we're collaborating before they're posted. Maybe I misunderstood.
Oh,
Go ahead.
yeah, I would just need I think I see what you're saying. I think I would just need a couple days to compile them, but yes, they would be posted on the 3rd so that you all would see them with the public. And then when you come to the meeting, you're ready to discuss comments that you've already had time to think about.
So when the agenda is posted, all the comments will be listed. So we'll be able to have review of those comments when the agenda is posted.
Okay.
Yes. So we could say, I mean, since this is we could just say if they could be by Friday, or even Monday the 2nd, I can just scramble to get them done.
Okay, Monday the 2nd works for me. Friday is too short a notice.
Okay. Let's do Monday the 2nd for this particular meeting. And that is just what I'll do on Monday.
Thank you, Christine.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that would be for both the comments on the tip as well as the Seward Highway?
Yes.
Yes.
And Christine also mentioned possibly the rec trails plan.
Yes, I
Look at
can,
any.
if people want to have comments on that, I can find the information. And if
Okay,
you want,
the RTP is just being distributed on Thursday. So we can do individual comments, but there's no way our community councils are going to get comments to us.
for that one.
on
And so that
RTP.
maybe that's
Later.
a later one. It was just something we wanted to mention at this meeting that it was just starting. But yeah, maybe this particular meeting might be too soon for that plan.
So we have a specific motion. We can come back to that, adding that 3rd agenda item on the special meeting, but we're under discussion on postponing to the special meeting on the 10th. Are there any objections to approving this motion?
Mr. Chair, Member Jeff Ron here.
Go ahead.
For committee awareness, I intend to abstain from voting on any motions relative to Safer Seward Highway, given my role as Commissioner on the Planning and Zoning Commission. That Commission's recent action with respect to Safer Seward Highway and anticipation for further opportunity for this project to come before that Commission, I would like to avoid the perception of perceived conflict. And again, intend to abstain. Thanks.
Perfect. And thank you for the clarification. So hearing on that, we have one abstain and no objections. The motion carries. We'll move the Safer Seward Highway to the special meeting agenda. So there's one other item there that I did catch, want to circle back to. If there's not issue discussion right here, is we talked about adding the what is it, Safer Trails?
Recreation Trails Plan update.
Thank you. So it sounds like we don't have enough time for public comment. Is everyone on board to removing that off of the special meeting? So we would just have the 2027 tip and the Safer Seward Highway as actionable items for the project. I mean, actionable items for the special meeting.
Well,
And the intent
this is This is Nancy. I do have the concern that, you know, we meet quarterly, so I don't know what the comment period will be. Again, they're just announcing the release of it. And I haven't heard, but I'm guessing it's going to be a 30 or 45 day, which means we would need to do another special meeting, which I guess we should be prepared to do if we're going to be
I think
effective.
that's where I was taking the position is doing a special separate meeting if the committee, does the committee want to have to have documented comment from the CAC or individually submit? Open it up.
Documented comments from the CAC.
Thank you.
I'd say the same, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Bob French, I'd say the same.
Yep,
So
that's fine with me, Diana.
perfect. Okay, so Christine, it sounds like it's a little bit tight to add it to this special meeting.
Yep.
Could we get another special meeting scheduled so that we could have ample time to get feedback from our community councils and get comments submitted?
Yeah, and I will, I'm gonna check with the project team on that one and other opportunities just to move your April meeting up, depending on what time we have, since you already have one more special meeting, but we'll adjust the timelines and then I can reach out to the committee and see what you want to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Christine. I guess I do need to go back. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak about the motion to postpone? Not seeing any members of the public wishing to speak. We'll move to item 6A, project and plan updates, transit on the move.
Yes, and I believe we have Stephen Stone from the Public Transportation Department here for you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Christine, am I allowed to share my screen?
Yes, go for it.
Wonderful. Because this group talks about a lot of plans and projects, I'm just going to give a quick reminder. Transit on the Move is the Public Transportation Department's development plan that's updated about every 5 years. And this is, if I can do this, we are entering our last phase starting Monday, February 2nd. We'll open up our public comment period for the last part of this update. Transit on the Move was first put out in 2020. So this is where we have been and where we're going to since this past winter, starting with phases 1 and 2. All summer, we went to 75 different community-related events, community councils, block parties, festivals, street fairs. We hit the ground running, starting with the transportation fair in April and went to events throughout the summer, rain or shine, indoors, outdoors, until the end of September. And that was basically asking the public one question: what do you value most in public transit? And the results from that survey, 1,541 people responded to that. And the somewhat slight majority of folks, 36%, says accessibility is important to them. And that to us means access or where you can get to by public transit within the urbanized area, our AMAT's boundary. So I won't go into super details. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Because the public comment period is not open until Monday, this kind of presentation to you all is just to kind of raise your awareness of what's going to happen over the next couple of months. We will close this public comment period April 19th. That should hopefully be a few days after the Transportation Fair 2026. And if anybody knows any information on that, we would love to hear about it. Haven't seen anything online posted yet, but we're just thinking bookending it with opening last summer and then closing this chapter out with the transportation fare. So the main purpose of this public involvement period is to get people to take one more survey. And yes, there are surveys out all over the place, but our survey basically asks what people prioritize in our projects that were identified from the 2020 plan that are moving forward into the 2025 plan, along with things that we heard from the community through this past summer's public involvement process about route ideas or service ideas, expansions. Should we get additional funding? Should we get additional staffing? What do we prioritize? What do we move towards for the new routes or new services like microtransit? What do we move towards into the next few years? What do we focus on for our priorities? So Chugiak all the way down through bringing back holidays, any type of service on federal holidays, those types of things. So to quickly sum up, we're entering the last phase of this process starting February 2nd. And I am scheduled currently at 7 community council meetings in February and March and would love to attend any other meetings and activities. I'll also be at, for those of you who are on some of those community councils, you'll hear the same thing again. So forgive me for the redundancy. But I'll also be at the TAC and PC meetings later this quarter to update those groups, and along with the bike ped group as well next Monday. So our last phase of this project is about to begin, and the main goal is to push people to that last survey to be able to have a ranked and prioritized list of projects that that will give us a direction for the next set of years as we move into the 26 to kind of 2030 timeframe for public transit. So the website, transitonthemove.com, will have all of this information updated as we enter this next phase starting on Monday with a link to the survey. I can't give you that tonight because it's not open yet, but where we will be throughout the next couple of months in our outreach timeline and our public events that we know about, plus that will be updated as we get more events. So with that, if you have any questions, if there's time for questions, I'm happy to answer them. But again, thanks for the opportunity to share tonight.
Thanks, Stephen. John, you got your hand up?
Yep, the quick question, and I can go back and review the plan, but do any of these proposals involve J-Bear lands?
Yes, sir. There is one route that has 2 different alternatives. That is it's a link on the survey to that map and to that project idea with a description and definition of that. So yes, we have heard that consistently from members of that public members that attend PTAB meetings and through other events that base access with People Mover is a desired component from some members of the community.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming, Stephen. Before we move on, are there any other members that have any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is SJ. I just wanted to say, Eric, thank you for doing a really fantastic job of outreach this run through. The survey instrument and the website were really well designed, and it's been really fascinating looking at the comments that people put in. So I look forward to reading the document and commenting on it.
Wonderful. Yep, the full document, the report, the phase 3 summary will be out as well in the next couple of months.
Perfect. Do we have any members of the public wishing to comment? Hearing none, thank you again, Stephen, for making today's meeting and presenting to us.
You're very welcome. Thanks.
And with that, we'll move to our final item, 6B. AMATS is turning 50.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull this up. Just a fun thing. We're turning 50 in April. So April, we started in 1976. And this is what we believe was our very first logo, if you can see it on your screen right now. And so we kind of designed a anniversary logo based on the first one. So we just kind of wanted to share that, let everybody know that AMATS is 50, and we will be getting some different swag items and doing a few things to kind of to celebrate that milestone. And that's all I had.
Very cool. Okay. Do we have any other any comments on celebrating 50 years and redesigning our logo? Any members of the public wishing to comment? We'll move to 7, committee comments. I did see, it appears for our special meeting, we're going to be meeting in person. Is that correct? Christine, maybe?
No, I wasn't do you want to meet in person?
We are meeting in person in the permits building, room 30, the normal room for the regular meeting. There is a
Man, I
Teams
think that
option.
was a mistake on my part. I just put something. I put something in my calendar, and I think it might have copied the previous meeting.
Well, darn it. Okay, I got all excited about that. I was like,
Yeah.
are we doing it in person? I was like, it was a weird. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say how cool, but I don't, for this special meeting, Christine, I totally recognize that you're accommodating for us and you got a ton of stuff going on. Is it, I just bring up the discussion point, not for these special meetings, but for our normal quarterly meetings. Is it a possibility that we could have an in-person meeting?
Probably not if they're night meet. Well,
Oh, that's true with doing the 5 to 7. Good point.
yeah, we changed to the night. Don't know if we could do them in the same location that we did at night.
Just throwing it out there. I know that you guys have been actively trying to do several recruitments, I believe, and it sounds like. And I apologize. What's the new member of your team? What's her
Rhiannon Brown?
Rhiannon Brown. Yep.
Yeah.
Does that? Well, I guess can we find out if is there any desire from the committee to go to in person, or is that just guess I'd ask the committee.
Right now, all the subs. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is Bob French. Looking at having the highway closed and everything on tonight, I certainly prefer a online meeting.
This is John. I second Bob French.
Thank you.
This is Nancy. Online meetings are certainly convenient for me. I would like, once a year or at some point to meet everyone face to face. I couldn't pick you guys out of a crowd, and it just is useful, I think, once in a while to be there in person.
Any other thoughts or opinions?
This is SJ. I mean, I've found it incredibly convenient to have the online option. I do think there's value of us being in a room together. But yeah, if we're doing it in the evenings, it strikes me that online is our best bet.
Thank you,
SJ.
So it sounds like as long as we're doing these 5 to 7 meetings, the opinion is to stick with online, but also hearing that there is value in meeting in person. Do you think once a year we have an in-person meeting?
I would go for that. Yeah. Chuck Holman.
Don,
I think that could be
yes.
valuable.
Yep, I would too, Nancy.
Okay. So maybe Christine, when we get into our warmer months, and it sounds like we might have to push up slightly earlier, or find out if it can support it. But it sounds like overall, the teams, everybody appreciates the convenience, but we're also recognizing that the value of meeting in person at least once a year. Nancy?
Okay.
Nancy, did you mean to?
No, sorry, I showed my hand down. There's some problem with my
Oh.
iPad.
Okay, sorry. Okay, are there any other general comments? This is your opportunity if anybody wants to make just some general information. Hearing none, we'll move to public comments. Are there any members of the public wishing to comment?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, this is SJ. I totally just didn't get to my phone in time. I will say the Fairview Pell is in its final draft stage. Just for commissioners' information, there's some controversy over the sort of what's called the Parkway option and the prioritization of different projects outlined within the Pell. Our community councils made comment on it. I know other community councils have as well, and I assume stuff goes before the assembly for approval. So if commissioners want to weigh in on that individually, they can still.
Nope, good info, SJ. Which reminds me of just a good point. I've noticed a pattern, which is a good pattern. So we all are representatives from different areas. And since I've been involved with the CAC, I have not heard the reference to so many community councils, which is very, very exciting for me because that tells me that all of the representatives, well, generally speaking, are going back to their associated community to gather feedback to bring to the CAC. So I just want to give, we might not all agree on everything, but I think it's great that we're actually getting direct input from the community, which I know many times we use the community councils as a good tool. And with that, are there any members of the public that wish to comment? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a
Move to
motion.
adjourn.
John.
I'll second it.
Like Chuck and second, or John and Chuck? Go with John. So John made the motion, Chuck seconded. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank Christine.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Christine. Thank you, Aaron.
Appreciate everyone. Aaron, we'll see you at the
Special
assembly
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yep.